So John, Chief Operating Officer for THG, 20 years in, 11 years in, 31 years between us. We're just here to have a chat in terms of our DNA, the journey we've been on to where we are today, and trying to expose some of the fun stuff, some of the difficult stuff, some of the failures.
Mistakes,
loads
of the many failures.
Exactly, yeah. And trying to get through a conversation with a bit of laughter without arguing with each other.
That'd be a first.
Some of the failures we've had have turned into successes over time, and what people don't get to see is that journey.
We had no warehouse management software, so everything was in a spreadsheet. So we'd get the orders off the website, I'd open my spreadsheet, I'd get the orders to this spreadsheet, get a file of orders and email it to the warehouse to go and pick them. So we had a filing system which was alphabetical. So I had to go down with the wife and do a stock check to get it all in the right place again. That's how basic it was then. And now, feedback to last week, where we're having chats with data scientists who are predicting the future of utilisation and capacity levels in the automation, and it's just a million miles apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's an awful lot of change between there and now. So we took the decision to take the big leap. We built 1 million square foot. We put third-party bits of software in, but we also built our own WMS at the same time. And it was pretty complex, I think, and as a consequence, it was pretty painful. And it took a long period of time. It probably took us 18 months to get it working properly. And then you wind back to the one you described in 2021, where we put the automation in, the AutoStore in. That was a building site. We got access to it at the end of May. It took us 3 months to build the AutoStore, which is pretty fast, and then 2 months to fill it with stock. And we were up and running in 5 months without missing a beat. The modern fulfilment centres are driven by intelligence. It's data in many different ways. It's how the robots are working. It's
the foresight of engineering as well, isn't it? For the next 3 to 5 years.
You know, it's demand forecasting. It's getting the product in the right place when you're ingesting it so you can get it out effectively.
Yeah.
It's so complex now, and it's all driven by intelligence. That's our forte now. It's that continual optimisation. It's a Dale Braceford mentality to fulfilment.
Marginal gains.
Yeah. It might be the way automation's behaving. It might be the speed of the conveyor belt. It might be some of the process we're doing. It might be how we're ingesting inventory into the system. There's always stuff that can be made better. There are so many moving parts in fulfilment. You know, through to final mile delivery, you can always do that better, right? There's so much that can be changed. You've just got to keep changing it.
If you had a message for any prospected brand for operational services, what's your kind of message to them? You kind of went through it a little bit there. If they watched from the start of this to where we are now, they'll probably understand our DNA, understand that we've made a lot of mistakes, understand that we've got great tech and operational enablement, but how do we change the mindset of a prospective client coming into...
I think the first hurdle that any brand owner or retailer's got to get over is they've got to stop seeing fulfilment as the afterthought, right? That's the way we describe it. We keep reiterating it's the only touch point anyone will have the customer in an online environment. So if you cock it up, that delivery, no one's ever coming back. But if you do it well, then you might just get a customer for life, and the value of that customer then just multiplies, right? In so many instances, it's just a cost that's got to be driven down, and no one considers the service that you're going to get out of it, right? We've had so many brands, right, who they have a shocking 5-day delivery, right? But the brand's their life. It's like the child, but then they completely ignore delivery.
Yeah.
So first of all, they've got to understand, well, what does service mean? Right? What about service levels? What are my service levels? And how can I do that well, but also do it cost effectively? These same brand owners will be quite happy to blow £30 in acquiring a customer.
Yeah.
But then they might be losing it for the sake of 10 pence. They've got to see fulfilment as an acquisition tool as well as a retention tool. And as an acquisition tool, right? So, as an example, our cut-off for next day delivery is midnight in the UK, right? No one matches that. Now, 30% of our daily next day orders are taken after 10 p.m. at night. 30%. Now, the value of that as an acquisition tool, we're the only shop open predominantly. I mean, there are a few exceptions, right? But I don't see anyone past 11 o'clock, but there ain't many after 9 o'clock, right? So after those hours, particularly in the categories we operate in, we own the night time. If anyone wants an order tomorrow, then we own it. Yeah. That's a massive acquisition tool, but then also a retention tool, right? Because everyone's delighted with the service. And that's how you've got to consider fulfilment, right? It isn't just a cost to be negotiated down. It's part of your marketing, your acquisition strategy, your retention strategy, and it's got to be seen like that.
Yeah.
It comes back to the point that fulfilment is always an afterthought, right? No one cares about what goes on in the fulfilment centres, right? But what you got to do is build from that bottom back upwards so that everybody in an organisation understands fulfilment, understands the impact on customer, and how their actions feed through to that. And I don't think there's many organisations that probably operate like that. And that would be a big way we could change, well, organisations do need to change the way they operate. We had a chat yesterday with the CEO of a retailer in Britain, right? And we were describing the way we've evolved, what we do, and his feedback was, we've heard it so many times, right? So he's on 20-year-old technology. He can't change anything because the scarce tech resource they've got is all deployed on what he described as customer-facing stuff, which means the look and feel of the website, probably. And the whole fulfilment is completely ignored. He can't change anything. And everyone's ignoring the customer. The big issues most faced now is they've got fairly old technology, old buildings. They don't have the capital or the resource to do anything about it. And at the same time, you got labour inflations going through the roof. Customer demands are getting ever more greater, and they can't do anything about it. They can't evolve the minimum wage, which acts as a proxy really for labour rates paid in fulfilment centres, because it all goes up comparatively. I think it's gone up 28%, right, in like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's a huge cost,
It's
right?
massive, yeah.
I think in most fulfilment centres, labour's by far the biggest cost in there, right? So if that cost is going up so much, what are you going to do about it? I think we benefit to some extent by decisions we made a few years ago, which was to automate as much as we could do. So what we've been able to do through the last 2 years, which goes through to the 22 and 23 financial years, we've taken 300 basis points out of our distribution costs, which is enormous, right? Distribution is probably the single biggest cost in the organisation. So to reduce that by 300 basis points at a time when inflation is rife, then how do we do that? Now, to some extent, it was automating it, right? So we made good decisions at the right time on automation. That's an optimisation of automation, many decisions coming through into one. So it's driven, and it comes back to the point that the people driving operations now, it's data science, it's software engineers, and that's how we're optimising. So the advice to organisations, they've got to change the way they're doing it, right? And I guess every organisation realises that. It's just not always easy to then execute it. There are balance sheet constraints, there are lack of capability within organisations, it's understanding what decisions to make. It's difficult.
Sometimes the easier thing to do is changing your operating model instead of tackling that.
I think the issue to some extent is just trust. Who do they trust to guide them through this process?
Yeah.
How do you then get a partner who's going to hold your hand through the next few years and continue to work with you to optimise it? Because most organisations don't have the capability.
We said before that a lot of our software in the past let us down. All those integrations don't work together. So ultimately you need the right partners regardless. And we might not be the right partners in some respects for certain clients, but we definitely are for others. And I think we share the same frustration. It's very hard to get our story out or our message out of why we do what we do and why we're going to still do what we do in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
As good or as better than anybody else.
I think my happiest fulfilment moment, actually, thinking about it over the years, was it's when we had an office which was upstairs in a building in Industrial Park in Northwich, and in those days we did a lot of computer games and stuff, and there must have been a new console out. It was PS2 probably in them days, 3 or 4 or whatever, right? And we had a few hundred delivered to the office because we didn't want to put it through the warehouse because we could save a few bob by not having to pay anyone to pick it. And then this Royal Mail van turns up outside, and we couldn't get them all in the lift, and we couldn't just do them down the stairs. So we got everyone in the office to get off the desks, and we'd formed this long chain from where we had them stored down the stairs into the back of the Royal Mail, and we were handballing all these PS2s back into the back of the Royal Mail van. It was brilliant because everyone loved it.
Yeah.
And everyone got it. It was all about the customer, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got to try and get that mentality into the modern day fulfilment centres, automated, that the customer is the most important, and don't lose sight of that in everything that we're doing.
Does that explain some of our DNA then, do you think, across the business now? The fact that the customer is the priority.
So if you've ever had to do that yourself, then you'll probably take a different view on customer service, and you will go the extra mile. I remember there was a story Danny did whereby a customer emailed in, and Danny went up to the warehouse to get something for him and delivered it to his house.
Yeah.
Now, you can do stuff like that when you're fairly small. You lose the ability with scale to do stuff like that, but it's that mentality that then feeds through the organisation and does make a difference. You come in with that mindset of, there must be a problem here, and maybe we can help fix this problem, or we can take cost out of it, or improve it, or make it faster, or whatever, right? And it's having your own customers, your own brands, builds that mentality into the way we operate. For years and years and years, because I was kind of running the warehouses, I used to hate trading teams and whatnot, because they never gave a thought to that kind of the impact of what they were doing, right? Which directly impacted on our world, but also then the customer world. You know, if we had 5 days of orders piled up on top of us because no one had forecast it and we were letting all the customers down, it it was a world of pain.
We just had that one dimension, that one look, and think, how do we increase conversion? How do we move people through conversion funnels all the way through? But once you get there, if you fail the delivery, all of that you've just achieved is for absolutely nothing at all, because statistically they don't come back.
It's quite an easy thing saying data drives everything, but there's so much of it about, so how do you collect it, how do you use it, and how do you then use it to implement change? And the key thing is not just dealing with data for the sake of it, you've got to use it to change something, otherwise what's the point? So as long as you're always changing something all the time, that's your small change, isn't it? And that's how you get better.
How do we fix delivery? How do we fix availability? And we doubled the business overnight as a result of doing that. All we needed to do is look at our manufacturing stuff with a forward view of sales and start bridging that gap. That DNA, though, sounds like it's been born from the first seed in THG because of everything you already mentioned today.
Well, look, we've all grown up with like hourly sales reports, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which are comps all the time. You're comping against yesterday, last week, last month and last year, right? And we've lived and breathed that for 11 years, 20 years, right? And it's exactly the same in fulfilment. So we're kind of comping against two things, cost and service levels. So service levels have to get better and cost has to come down. That drives your mentality, and everyone in the ops organisation can have an impact, and they've all got to know what it is they're supposed to be doing and how they can have that impact. And data informs that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to, again, use data to manage the final mile delivery, right? So what was the delivery? Did it delight them? Did it disappoint them? If it disappointed them, why did it disappoint them?
There's certain reports that have stood the test of time, and the next day delivery report is probably one of them, innit? Where it's arguably one of the first reports we look at in the morning. I know there's plenty, but that's one we look at straight away, innit? And if we miss a singular next day delivery out of, 15,000, 20,000 of them a day, we actually want to know why did that one fail.
So it's one snippet of information on did we miss any next day deliveries, but if we did, it probably indicates that there's a broader problem that I need to get into. Was it just a next day that was impacted, or was there something else in there that wasn't quite right? So that's my 10-second health check that I can get. I think what you learn is, right, you can actually make a difference every day.
Yeah.
And if you get your head around that, then any day where you don't make a difference, you get quite sweaty about it.
Yeah, you get annoyed. Yeah.
How quickly can we do this? We've got to be changing stuff all the time, improving stuff all the time.
When you're choosing operational services, why do you choose them? You choose them for cost and service mostly, but it's the people behind it and the obsession behind it that will get you out of trouble when you have those sticky moments for yourself.